Hello, so we are back at the North American Phonograph Company again, and we are molding cylinders. So I took a temperature reading of this, and we are up there. When I get it down there, you'll see that we're about where we want to be. In the 170s is the best place to be to mold your cylinders for this particular wax. And as I said, this is an 1893 Edison formula, so around 170 degrees to set to 75, we're good. So our wax is up to temperature, but we have about 11 minutes to go on the counter. See, I do have a counter over there. You'll see there's a timer like you use in the photo lab, and that is what we use. So this is the wax compound that we have. This is the same one we've been molding the last 3 cylinders with, so this is our 4th cylinder out of this batch. So we will be molding another cylinder today. We got about 10 minutes before we take the mold out of the oven. And again, we are going to let this set for 1 hour like we did the last one because it came out so good. I have not processed those 2 blanks yet, so we will process 3 together. And soon I will be putting some box making videos on how I make the boxes to put the cylinders in. I need to get a new printer so I can make labels that are nice. So that's new. That's later. A lot of times though, I just take them over to the photo section in Walmart and just run them off as a glossy photo for my labels, which gives them a really nice look. So our wax is up to temperature, and it is now time to take the mold out of the oven and set it up. The mold actually only needs a half an hour to to be honest with you, it's all it really needs. But you put it in there for a whole hour just to make sure that everything's alright. So we got our gloves for hot items. Buckskin gloves, and I'm going to unplug it. I always unplug the it's up to 175 degrees centigrade, which is plenty hot to mold our cylinder. As said, the original molding temperature was 333 degrees Fahrenheit was the original molding temperature, so it's time to set it up. Put a reservoir on top, like that. Move this over. This is our filler. I'm actually going to put the mold just right where it is. It's a good place for it. I'm going to put this over the mold. And we have several pieces of bronze. Oops, there we go. That's better. We've got several pieces of bronze gauze. I just want to make sure that I can see well into the mold. The mold has a base. It has a spiral core, just like the original Edison molds. Okay. So that's good and tight. We want it nice and tight. And we have our mandrel ready. We got our knife ready for when we work on all this. So next we are going to fill the mold up. So I'm sorry, I have to bring it back. You'll see me actually filling the mold up here. Best to grab it like this and run it through the filter like this. I put it at this end so that it actually runs across the filter. There's actually 4 layers of filter in there. And we are above the knob on top, So we have a reservoir of wax, and we have enough to make maybe 2 more cylinders. So I'm shutting the wax off because I think I'm just going to mold 1 cylinder today. So I'm going to take this away. Maybe not. Let it drip in there. I am going to set the timer again for 1 hour. So we have an hour now on the timer, and we will see you in 1 hour, okay? We're not going to have the camera on for a whole hour, so don't worry. So, about 20 minutes have gone by. 25, actually. And the wax is at least not liquid anymore, although it's probably in a very gel-like consistency. It's actually in like a paste state. It's not ready yet, so we still have a while to go before we demold the record. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at how the state is in the mold. There you can see that it was liquid, like this. See how that's still liquid in there? But it's still too soft to remove yet. You can see the structure of the wax is very nice. And this cylinder will still be darker than the last one. Every time you pull a batch cylinder from the batch, it will be darker, guaranteed. So we'll see a succession of how the wax gets darker. So this explains to the phonograph and archival community in brown wax cylinder production that as the compound is cooked, the darker it becomes. This is also confirmed by a study that was done at the Library of Congress. Well, we have about 12 minutes left, and this is the state of the wax. The mold is hot to touch still, so the mold's not cool. It's good. And our supply wax has solidified. So it's going to ring in just a little bit here, less than a minute. I've got 5 seconds. And we're going to demold this record and see how it came out. First thing we do is take this off. Looks like we got a nice color. It's been in the mold, which is darker than the other one, just as they said. Every time you mold the cylinder, it gets darker, the wax does. See how I talk about that plastic state? That's why you can work with it, with a spiral mold. It's easier to work with the wax. So next we get a funny little wax plug out. Let's screw it from the base. Do this, turn it in. I gotta get that rod that I dropped there. So I should be able to turn it down. It's still nice and pliable and hot. So turn this inward. How we did it last time, we put it in here. Know that it's hot enough. Just a matter of getting it so that it's not at the other time, or So let's twist it down again. Okay, we get it to move backwards. Okay, I guess got it broke loose a little bit, so we'll go backwards, maybe. Let's see. There it goes, I think. So now I'm going to put it on the ground, see if I can't get it to do what I want it to do here. Alright. I want it to go in. Okay. So that just requires a lot of strength to do some of this stuff. Now, try to unscrew it. Sometimes the hardest part is getting it to unscrew, or screw, one of the two. You know, sometimes vibration, this state is the best thing. And guess what? The reason why we do that is because it was actually, just like before, on the mandrel, the outside did not want to come out. Okay, and guess what? It's doing what it wants supposed to do. See? You know how I always bring it up before I bring it out? So, I'm going to bring it up all the way there. Now, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to now unscrew it. So we should have a decent spiral on it. All little tricks of the trade. Again, we bring it down as far as possible. See, it works like a nut and bolt. That's the nice thing about spiral core molds. Sometimes they require a little bit of getting it to start, but once you do, it runs really nice. And pretty nice inside. It has some projections in it. So, this is our basically fourth casting from this wax, and see how nice and far down it goes onto the wooden core. Set the timer for 10 minutes and then remove it from the core. So the 10 minutes has elapsed and our cylinder should be ready for processing some later time. Again, as I usually have to do, wrap it on this machine a little bit to get it off the mandrel. Just one wrap and there we go. Doesn't have perfect spirals, but it does have spirals in it. As I said, they're not really for any other purpose. I mean, it has them. The spiral core in a cylinder, the purpose is for mold release. I've said this a million times. What it does is it increases the working time you have with the mold. Let's see It's still warm, but let's see where this Columbia mandrel goes in it. See, it's good. And at this point, it's not wobbling. So that's why I use that process. So one of the things I want to show casting cylinders is that this is the same batch. So this is the first cylinder out of the batch. Notice what color it is, right? So this is the second one out of the batch. Notice that it's darker than the last one, right? This is called a rough casting. You know, a good one when you feel that it has a rather waxy feel on the outside, okay? Then the next casting is a little darker. And then you'll notice this casting is way darker. And this is all the same batch of compound. Same, it's not a different one, it's the same one. It's just every time you heat and cool a batch of wax, it gets darker. And there's your proof right there.